Hey, what's up, guys? So I'm going to be bringing you around the Supra and showing you kind of an update and the next steps of what I need to do to get this thing ready for paint. Kind of like a bodywork overview, just showing you kind of what this chassis needs to be correct for paint. So the car is pretty much almost 100% sealed with epoxy primer now. Just did this cowl panel today. Stripped that all down, coated all that. Like I said in my previous video, the paint is going to terminate right along this tape line underneath here, because that's where that seal goes. If you know Supras, they have a seal right here that just kind of seals against the bottom of the hood and stops rain from getting into the engine bay. So it should make a nice transition between the engine bay paint and the chassis paint. And then I just terminated the paint right along here because the fender sits up on top and back here. And then the rest of all this stuff down here is going to be undercoated, stuff like that. So this chassis is actually pretty clean. Not really any rust besides over there at the trunk sill. I'll show you that. But as far as body work, pretty much all the body work on this chassis that needs done is due to myself. Either changes I've made or, mistakes I've made or whatever it may be. I've had this chassis for a long time, and this car was a running, driving car with a coating on it, a bedliner coating on it before. So, dents, dings, stuff like that is going to happen when you're driving a car and using it. So, the first thing is, you can kind of see how I have them outlined. I'll take Sharpie and I'll go through with dots and kind of mark out anything that I see that stands out to me. So somehow, maybe in the midst of being upset about something going on or something like that, I vividly remember maybe hitting the top of the roof at some point, being mad at something and doing that. So I do have a dip and a dip right here that I need to fill in, sand back, and get that all smoothed out. You'll notice I went through the rest of the chassis too and marked anything that I found to be suspect. You could probably see a crease right here, which was from a previous owner. I didn't even know that was there. That was repaired many years ago. But you can see I just dotted line around everything. That's suspicious to me. Typical Supra has had a small, like, quarter-size surface rust here, so there's a small dip right here, so that needs filled in. Small crease across the body line and dent here. Then a very small dent here and up here. So this quarter panel isn't horrible. It'll need some work to straighten it out, but it's not terrible. Just mainly along that body line right there is really the worst of that. After you come back here on this chassis, this is the big deal of the rust here that I was talking about. A lot of Supras suffer from these. This is it's a pinch weld, and the actual seal that seals against the trunk sits all around up here. It's big, like a square rectangular type of shaped seal. And a lot of times you'll see that these will actually rust out, the pinch welds. You'll see what'll happen first is they'll start to kind of bulge open like this because they're rusting from the inside out. And then eventually it'll just eat it all the way through, and it'll turn into like this here. So ideally what'll happen is I got my dotted lines here. So this will get cut out, and I'll have to get a piece of sheet metal and break it into like a 90 angle and weld it along here. Same with the inside. Have to get a piece of little sheet metal, cut this out, break it into a 90, weld it in here. Just basically replicate the pinch weld what it used to be. And this is all hidden too. It's underneath the seal of the trunk. You kind of want to be careful making patches this small, because there's really no way to do body work and lay Bondo on this and get it straight. But with the seal sitting on this, I think it should be perfectly fine. A lot of it's going to be hidden. It's mainly just to stop the rust. We don't want it to rust anymore. So coming over here to this quarter panel, you'll notice here right away, right on top, because you can see it with the light, this hole was welded shut. Put a piece of steel in from the bottom, weld it shut, make sure it's below the original sheet metal so it's easy to fill in. You don't have any crazy high spots or anything like that. But if you know Supras, you'll know that that is where the electric antenna for the radio used to come out from the inside. It was a big box mounted on the inside, and the antenna would come out automatically when you turn the car on. On top here, I got what I believe is a very small dip right here. I'll be able to figure that out when I block through the car and start doing the body work. The most noticeable thing is you can see my big dotted line all the way around. And that is from the fuel door, the OEM fuel door. So this runs a fuel cell in it. Probably seen it in one of my last videos. Check them out if you haven't seen them. But the OEM fuel filler used to come through here and go down underneath to the bottom. It'd go basically through the wheel well area down through here. Had a little mud flap and everything that covered the filler, but what happened was I used the original filler door and got rid of any rust on the inside of the actual little housing, and I welded the actual OEM filler door into the quarter panel. And I didn't do that great of a job. I was like 16 maybe. Just learned how to weld, but the main thing is mainly making sure it's lower than the sheet metal around it, so that way you can fill over and not have any crazy high spots, like any welds that are just higher than the original metal. So, not the end of the world. It's not the prettiest thing. It's not the best way to do it. The best way to do it would be really take your time and really do it nice. Make it as smooth as you possibly can so you have the least amount of Bondo or Duraglass in there, but make do with what we got. And really, as you can see, I don't have any more markings. That's pretty much the whole amount of body work that needs done to this chassis. So that's about all the body work that I have to get done to this car. Really nothing major. Basic stuff. It's an old car. It's gonna have dings and dents. Finding a chassis with pretty much no dents, dings, or rust is gonna be almost impossible, especially for an 87. This car's been around for a long time. So I just gotta do the body work in the quarter panels and that spot on the roof. Weld in the patch panel around that trunk pinch weld, and then scuff this whole thing down, and it'll be getting urethane primer surfacer so I can block the whole car down, get it as smooth as I possibly can. And then it will be leaving here actually to go to a friend of mine's paint booth so I can do it really nice. make sure it's all right, bake the paint and the clear coat, and then the actual chassis will be done, and then it'll be on to just the doors and the fenders and the trunk over here. Probably going to be running a carbon fiber hood, so I won't really need to do the hood or worry about it right now. The bumpers will need done as well. That's pretty much the gist of everything that I've been doing. Progress is kind of slow, but this bodywork takes pretty much forever. It's never ending, it seems like, so it is what it is. If you want to stay updated with this car, I'd appreciate it if you'd subscribe, give me a like, let me know other things that you want to see as I progress on this build. Thank you very much.